Welcome everyone to another great edition of the Cocktails with Cavs show. We're back from our long mid-year break we took down in the beautiful Florida Keys. We're all tanned and relaxed. Hell, you're lucky we came back. But seriously, we're ready to bring you some more incredible shows the rest of this year. And by all means, please like, follow, and share the shows so more people can get to know these incredible indie creators. Our show tonight, as always, is brought to you by our good friends at Run Amok Books from the Windy City, Seatown, an amazing publishing outfit that's not afraid to take chances with new, talented voices, heck, even controversial works. They're fully supportive of the creators they partner with, and by all means, check them out in the link in the show description. All right, tonight, we have some incredible guests. We all know that the technology's just making the world of publishing evolve at a breakneck speed. And when it comes to the dark fiction and horror genre, our guests are making waves. Please help me welcome to the stage the founder of Grendel Press, Susan Russell, and two amazing creators in her stable from the wildly popular Werewolf the Podcast. I am so glad you guys and Susan could join us from across the pond here on Cocktails with Cav, a hot new Grendel Press. I'm telling you, specializing in these dark matters. I was going to do the intro, ladies and gentlemen, and Greg, but it's just but I have my dark rum cocktail ready for this special dark occasion. And just so happy to have you with us. Susan, I know the editor-in-chief of Grendel Press, and just the outfit has really been making a dent in the genre. And of course, thankfully joined by two of our good friends that you may recognize from a previous episode, Gregory Sharp and Finn. You guys with your incredible Werewolf the Podcast, that's been wildly popular, and so just happy to have you guys with us. How y'all doing?
I'm very well, thank you very much for having us, Cav.
Oh man, well, absolutely. Susan, and Susan, please by all means introduce yourself to our viewers. We love for the guests to kind of give them a little background on you and Grendel Press, and let them know where we're going with this thing, because I'm excited personally. When I got the email when you guys reached out to, that I could have you as a guest on the show, I was excited. So please, by all means.
Yeah, awesome. So I'm Susan Russell, and I'm the editor-in-chief and founder of Grendel Press. We focus really hard on dark fiction, so dark fantasy, dark romance, horror, and it seems like kind of like a broad variety of things, but I feel like every good story has a little bit of all of that. There are a lot of different types of horror, but I feel like if you're missing on the, on kind of like the fantastical and sometimes a little bit of the romance, or at least the empathy, because, romance isn't always just about romance. But anyway, if you're missing out on any aspect of that, then I feel like you're not doing it right. So, yeah. We are trying really hard to elevate the genres that we love so much.
No, well, yeah, and it is amazing. Like I said, I was excited to be able to have you on as a guest, knowing some of the work you've been, you've managed to get a hold of some great projects for Grendel Press, and like I said, in the genre itself, it's just really making a dent. And you two guys, Greg and Finn, look, like I said, our huge Halloween special, wildly successful for you guys, Werewolf the Podcast, and just so excited, you guys could be a guest on this show with Susan, because obviously now you're embarking on coming under the Grendel Press umbrella and with some of your projects. So please, by all means, Greg, we can start with you. Take us through how you got with Grendel and where we're going with it.
Sure. Well, I was looking for a publisher for my second novel, Kill & Cure, and I became aware of Grendel Press through a friend of mine in the writing community, Mike Barker. His wife Kelly was signed by Grendel Press, and we connected on socials, and Grendel Press, great. So I started doing my research, and I'm like, I think this might be the publisher for me. I'm going to cozy up to Grendel Press. So I reached out and did the formal submission piece, and at that time I connected with Fen, and I said, Fen, because we'd been talking for some time about officially partnering with an organisation within our genre for a sort of mutually beneficial, promote each other's brand to each other's audience type of arrangement, right? So we've been looking for somebody that we could get into step with to the viewpoint that we were taking of the market, and for a wider market that we felt would have an interest in our free product, that would want to connect with it, right? And so we were on the lookout, and I said to Fed at that time, listen, mate, I think you ought to get in touch with Grendel Press, because there's a page on the Grendel Press website which mentions a bestiary, a bestiary, depends how you want to pronounce it, the old version, the more modern version. And Fen has written 28 novels in a bestiary, a bestiary, about all the different types of creatures there are within this sort of dark fantasy realm. 28 books. I mean, the guy's mad. So I said to him, look, honestly, I think it's like this was meant to happen. You need to reach out and see if you can get yourself a conversation, which of course you did you not, sir?
I did. I wrote an email, and it was a kind of embarrassing email because I read your mission statement, Susan, and it was just like, God, I loved it, because we'd had a look at so many different people who wanted to sponsor us and do certain things for us, but being the old English gentleman that we are, we were like, oh no, we will wait for a particularly good person or product, and then you turned up as Grendel Press, and thankfully Greg had pointed out to you, but I didn't really know how to approach you, because it was like, you're doing this amazing thing and we really want to be part of it, but we don't know what we can do. So I reached out with an email saying, hi, you're really great, can we be friends? And then you got back to me and you basically went, yes, we can be friends, but what can we do? And it was from there it was born. So yeah, I'll hand back to Susan, who, with her mission statement for the horror genre, it was absolutely fantastic. And I'm mind blown about how hard Susan and her guys work, because it scares me to death, because it really does scary things for me, because you'll be doing 16-hour days and stuff, and it's terrifying. But anyway, I'll shut up and hand back over to Susan, who can tell us something about her mission statement.
Well, and that's, one of the reasons I was so excited that we were able to put this show together, because, as we all intimately know, the industry is changing at just this clip that's mind-blowing for most people in the industry even. And it's, between marketing and, cultivating audiences, and especially in the indie world, we all know how things are going, with the self-publishing, etc. And so I was excited because, I think Grendel Press is, from what I've learned, coming up with a great model, partnering with creators, and which is just, there's a whole new level that has to go on, obviously. So, and Susan, by all means, please tell us what your thoughts are on how Grendel evolved and got into this model.
So just getting back to the 16-hour days, that's exactly That's exactly what it is. 16 to 18-hour days. You know, I've kind of gotten accustomed to about 5 hours sleep. I'm not even sure if that maths out correctly, but that's about what I'm.
Those with me.
That's my average.
A few hours of tossing and turning. You know, a few hours of tossing and turning. Sure, that's the
yeah.
Susan has 28-hour days, while the rest of us only have 20.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know how that maths out, but it feels like that, and it's a passion project, and it's something that's really necessary. I've had I know I'm going to go sideways to say what I'm trying to say, but it's like whenever I'm talking with new authors, because we get plenty of submissions. I'm always welcome to more. We don't close our submission window. We accept them all the time, even if we're trying to look in the future. Like, I think now I'm signing for 2026, so we're looking far in the future, and we don't close those because anyway. That was off subject again. But I talk with authors and they want to know, you know, well, how does this work? You know, they basically want to know everything about Grendel Press, and it's like, well, it works with a whole bunch of passion and a whole bunch of right now volunteers. We're hoping to have be in the positive in 2026, but the main thing that I tell them is there's no small business loans for a publishing company.
No.
Because how do you convince someone else that your business model is important enough for them to loan their money? Or how do you convince them that you even know what you're doing? Because you're all indies of your own careers. So you understand you don't know it's always going to go well.
I think that's,
you're planning the best you can, and sometimes you're winging it. And I plan a lot. Let me just tell you that I plan a lot. Not obviously for podcasts, but business wise, I am constantly thinking of anywhere from 6 months to 2 years ahead of time. And I think that's where of course, long days come in, but also, like I said, passion. But it takes a lot of people. And I'm fortunate, and it scares me sometimes how I'm so easily flustered, and not that great of a speaker. And yet I'm so blessed that I have, probably 12 or 13 volunteers that just do everything for free. I mean, obviously it's not like they're working a full-time job, and I try very hard to make the task small, but the fact is everybody is doing this because they believe in it.
Well, and that
astounds me. I'm like, oh my gosh, people believe in what I'm saying enough that they're following me, and we're doing it. And so that's exciting. And I think that gets us back to the mission statement, that Fenrir mentioned, is that, this is a labor of love, and we're trying to basically show people an aspect of horror and an aspect of themselves that they don't get to explore very often. I know I'm really horrible at saying that, but so we're trying to basically explore the shadows, elevate our authors with a lot of coaching and stuff like that, and and empower them. We're trying to build their audience and our audience, and that's where like Gregory and Fenrir come in. Whenever I got that email from Fenrir saying, can we be friends? I don't know how I can help, but I want, but we're cool and you're cool and we should be friends together. I was like, oh, thank God, because I could use more friends.
Well, and that's one of my questions I had, as we talked about creators and the way the models are evolving in the industry. Like, Ben, I believe you were going to say a little something about the mission statement and what that means to a creator,
Well, I think what I've discovered as an independent author, and you probably agree and stuff like that and things, is there's lots of people out there that are just after your money. Yeah, we've all experienced that. I can get you 15,000 book sales within a week, and you're like, yeah, whatever. I know I could get you 2,500 views if you pay me £1,000. I'm like, yeah, okay. So when you actually meet someone who is doing it out of heart and really wanting to take something forward, it is so rare. Same with you, Cav. You are doing your podcast and you're helping the people in literature, and you're taking these people forward with their media. You know, like, people like yourself, people like Susan. I mean, me and Greg, we've had thousands of people interested in what we're doing and stuff, but I think finding real people like yourselves is what really made us enthusiastic about it. And you basically, me and Greg were going to set up a publishing company, and then you did it for us, Susan.
Well, and it was just it was honestly perfect, because I had already seen Greg's submission, but we have so many, it's in a queue. Yeah. So it's like, yeah. I see everything as it comes in, but I don't usually have time to really delve into it yet. And thank goodness I have one of the best acquisitions editor, still working on his PhD, but he's amazing. I won't digress onto that, but he'll know who he is whenever he hears this. You're amazing.
Well, too much work is definitely not a problem usually. Too much, you know.
But so I knew he was in queue, but I hadn't really got to really delve into it. But then I got Fenrir's email, and it all started to connect together. And so, of course, I went to go look at Gregory's book. I went and looked at Fenrir's podcast. I listened to several, and as I started listening, I was like, this is exactly what we've been trying to do. Basically, we wanted to shine a light on, I use the word monsters like lightly, but we wanted to shine a light on the monsters. Like, there's a lot of books that are beastly books. You know, they're books about sharks, they're books about Bigfoot, and all of those things are great, and they have a huge following. Like that's a thing, but I care more about, like, what are we getting emotionally out of that book about? You know, I don't want a book about a monster that just goes around killing everybody mindlessly, and we never get to know what they're thinking, because they're beastly, they're feral, they don't have any thoughts. And I don't think that's true. I think we just don't see that story very often. And so I look at Fen and Greg, and I'm like, that's exactly what their podcast is. Like, we are right there with the quote unquote bad guy the whole time, and we know what you're thinking because you're telling us. And I love that, because where else are you going to get that? And so,
well, sure, and it really makes for quality literature too, when it's not just, you know, mashed together, which is, you know, when I first met Greg, oh Lord, what's it been? Well over a year. But and I was lucky enough to have Greg early on for El Lobo and Killing Cure, which are just two fantastic books, you know. And I think when you talk about that passion for the genre, as well as actually accomplishing something with the genre, you know, as far as literature goes. I mean, Greg, that's, you know, when we go back to talking about Grendel Press, you know, and what you were looking for as a creator, how did that tie in for you?
Yeah, so I guess there's a lot of places out there and a lot of ways you can get a book published, right? And what I really wanted was a publisher that kind of understood what I was trying to do. Also, I think, and maybe this is an adjunct to the point that Susan was making, I think there's a lot of publishers out there that will say, yeah, we're good at horror, we do horror, and they'll just, you know, publish whatever as long as it's got teeth and claws, right? And they don't, and there's no soul. For me, there's no soul in just teeth and claws. And you know, anyone who sort of reads the stuff I write will hopefully note that there's quite a lot of soul in there. There's usually quite a lot of pain on the part of the bad guys, even the ones that you're not supposed to like. There's usually a lot of pain on the inside there, and it's not necessarily mainstream, right? Because mainstream is about the headlines, and I like to write a little bit about what's between the lines. And that, I think, is what I found in Grendel Press. That was where the dots sort of joined up for me, and I literally felt as though if I was in a fortunate enough position to choose a publisher for my book, and for my next book, which I'm writing, it would be someone like that.
Yeah,
it would be someone like that. And then, of course, you know, in the real world, you have the opportunity to try and. I mean, I always say at work, if you want to get hit by a train, you're going to have to go and stand on the tracks, right? So you've got to submit your work to these publishers. You've got to go and look for them. You've got to find them. You've got to stand on those railway tracks, right? And hopefully the train comes along. But I was also in a fortunate position, as I say, with the podcast, with this other thing going on, where I really did see parallels between what we were doing. That kind of staring into the abyss and seeing what stares back at you. And
that's such a good thing.
You guys are so much better at saying we're talking. I'm clearly more of a writer than a speaker.
Well, hey, thankfully you wrote that email back to Finn. But we no, and Susan, when we talk about you know, where Grendel Press has been and where it's going, especially given what's obviously, you know, we talk a lot about AI in the industry now and things of that nature, and that's only getting exponentially worse, obviously, as every day, right? We open up something new. You know, what are some of the things Grendel Press is holding strong to and for the industry, for real life human creators, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. We prefer not to deal with AI. I say that being a person who does sometimes use it for social media. So I have exceptions. I'm not an anti-AI person. I'm just an anti-AI when it comes to publishing, because we have authors who are pouring their heart and soul into these books, and they're trying very hard to be seen. So I think it would be really disingenuous if we didn't prioritize their voices. You know, like we have a mission statement and we're trying to keep to it. And we're always going to do that. You know, I think it gets harder and harder maybe to distinguish AI from not, because we're also not the type of people, you know, I'm not going to go around and say, hey, this is weird. It's all, you know, it's obviously AI. I'm never going to be that type of person. And that's probably why also we don't have a huge, we do social media, but we don't have a huge personal presence on social media, because a lot of the small publishers out there grow their following by being a social media presence. And so they'll weigh in on all kinds of political, you know, they basically run their business a little bit like they would their personal social media. So their opinion, you know, their political opinions, whatever that may be. And I've seen a lot of rise and fall of small publishers, I think, because of that, because they get entirely too passionate about sharing their personal opinions, and it becomes an issue. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that. I'm like, we're just going to do the best we can for all of our authors, you know, and so we keep a clear divide between that stuff. So we're just going to do our best, you know, and at the end of the day, of course, we don't want AI submissions. I'll say that just in case anybody's like, do they take them? Like, no. But on the other hand, we're going with the story. You know, it's just like, I don't think it's a hot take, but I'll say it anyway. It's just like a lot of people when they do their, my words just went away. But when they write, I'll call it a cover letter. I don't know where the word just went away from me, but when they do their submissions and they write a query letter, oh my God.
Yeah.
it was gone for a minute. But yeah, when they write their query letter, they'll start kind of with their grocery list of why they're uniquely qualified. And usually it's full of social issues. And I don't disregard anyone for doing that, but I also don't read it. Because I'm honestly looking straight at the synopsis to see what the book's about. You know, does it look like something that fulfills our mission statement? Does it look exciting? You know, where they tell me what it's about.
I think I've read 2 or 3 your books so far, and by different authors. But what I really like about it is just about the people and the monsters. There is no trying to force anything down your throat about political life or anything like that. I just like it's just about them. It's just about them being, and that's another thing that really stood out for me. I mean, they're intrinsically different in the way that they're written and things, which is beautiful. But like, I do like that. It's about the passion of the individual and all the creature, and I really appreciate that. So yeah, I've loved what I read so far, and as soon as like with Greg's writing, his descriptive writing is beautiful. I sometimes sit back and Greg will send me, he's writing his third book at the moment, and he sends me it every now and again, and I sit there and go, God, I wish I could write like him. But yeah, I can see how he will fit absolutely perfectly into your genre of where you're gonna fit. So yeah, it's really, really cool. Yeah.
Well, it excites me too, like, because I just emailed Greg the other day, and it's funny because I'm reading, of course, through his most recent submission, and I was thinking this is good, and then in my email I'm like, we can make it better. which again is not taking away from the writing. It's like, oh my gosh, I can help. And I don't know, I have a feeling you guys know how good that feels to know when you can do something together and make it even more amazing. And you're like, oh, it's sorry, go ahead.
I need to butt in because Greg messaged me after that email. And he was really excited. He said, I've got an editor who's going to give me some feedback. And he said, and this is the truth, and he can back me up on this, he said, do you know what? She's going to make a good story great. And I was like, wow, that is such a cool thing to say. Right. He literally said, she's going to make a good story great. And I was like, wow, that is such a good line to say about an editor, because we've all had the editors who are proofreaders, but we very rarely get an editor who actually gives you feedback on what you do. I don't know, Cav, have you been there with an editor? They normally give you like proofreadings and stuff, and you go
sure. The ogre.
Yeah. You've done really well at pointing out that I wasn't perfect with my English and American spellings. Thank you very much. But what did you actually think of the story?
Well, and Greg, when you talk about that, to stay on that topic, just real brief to continue on, elucidate a little bit about it. As an author, and speaking from having, interviewed countless authors, etc., it is just, despite AI, despite the way the market's changing, despite the way, the internet is going for sales, that kind of thing, social media, it all, to me, it comes back to those relationships and what can be done, between the creator and someone assisting them on the level of the publishing house, the indie publishing house, So, as an author, Greg, would, talk about that a little bit.
Well, I think maybe the best thing I can say about that, and particularly about how excited I am about the process that's underway at the moment, is at Christmas, my wife Dee, who plays Lucifer in the podcast, bought me a gift, which was a year's subscription to an online learning environment called BBC Maestro. And so I immediately did writing courses, and I did one with Ken Follett, who's written like 1 million books, Harlan Coben, Lee Child, right? I'm currently going through another one. And some of the things that they tell you on those courses, you're like validated, because you're like, great, I've been doing something right, brilliant, good. And then you get the pearls of wisdom, which are like, okay, I need to bank that and I need to remember that. But one of the things that really stuck for me, and Lee Child and Harlan Coben both really paused on this for a moment, was if you can get an editor that you can work with that finds it really hard to upset you, right? Because they know, because your relationship's that good, they know they can be really direct and they can suggest anything. And you're comfortable enough in the relationship to consider everything they tell you and to say no to some things and be able to articulate why you're saying no and why it makes sense that you're saying no, and to say yes to the other things, right? Because that way you arrive at a consensus about, well, this product now is going to be the best that we can collectively make it, and together we've been on this, you've done this initial piece of work, and we've then taken it on a journey from a rough or raw condition to being this final polished item that really is as good as we can do collectively as a team. And that's thrilling, because I'm a confident human being, but I'm not arrogant enough to think that I can just roll out of bed, say I'm going to be an author and write a perfect work of fiction, right? You have to work at this stuff. You have to learn from other people. And if the best writers in the world are going on courses on BBC Maestro telling you, if you want to be a good writer, you need a good editor, right? I better listen to that, right? So when I start to get feedback, that's magic for me.
And I think you just hit on, one of the things that I've always thought about is that you said the magic word, right? Collectively, to have the support of an indie publishing house that, allows the author to still have some independence, and it's just worth its weight in gold, to be a collective enterprise. So,
yeah,
with that being said, golly, like I said, I know I've said it probably countless times through the show, but Susan, I'm just really glad to have you on and talk about Grendel Press. Tell us what you got going on and the framework you're working in, for creators and giving that support, and because like I said, especially for this genre, really excited.
My light fell off.
You got swiped by a beast.
Hey, give me a moment. I will recover. Sorry, Susan.
So
I stole your moment.
You're fine. So we have a few things up. I mean, we have an entire year's worth of exciting things coming, but the most I would say the most recent thing coming up is we're releasing an anthology, which we don't do them too often. We started out doing 4 anthologies back in 2023, and that was really stressful because that's altogether that's about 60 authors that we worked with to get that.
You were dealing with 60 divas. Is that what you were saying? Anthologies tend to be rough.
Yeah. It was a lot, and we did custom art for every single story, so it was a lot to get together. So last year we took submissions for just one, and it's been behind a little bit, but it's finally going to be coming out in the next 2 months. It's called The Midnight Labyrinth. It's got 17 different stories in it, surrounded by a frame story. That's going to take everybody on a real journey. It's it's our first anthology. I think that you can't say that it's a horror anthology. It's I almost want to say transformative. It's got a little bit of like sci-fi-ish, a little bit of horror, a little bit of fantasy, like all of it's grounded, basically well-rounded in the fact that it takes you through a journey. Words. Anyway, it takes you on a full journey curated by the archivist. And so there's technically 18 stories if you count the archivist who introduces you to each story, and whose story is in progress. We'll say that. But I'm excited about that one. I know the authors are really excited about it. We have, what's coming up next? I believe we have Tales from the Pit Crew, which is, words, hold on. So I'm excited about that one, actually. It's a series starter from Jared, I shouldn't say his name. Anyway, J.M. Tilbury. I'm sure it's not a secret. But basically it's about a paranormal detective, Daryl Diamondback. he faces a child snatching specter, which is kind of like the boogie, it's
Yeah,
the boogeyman. But I'm really excited about this one because J.M. Tilbury is former military, and I guess I'm excited because this is the book in which he creates his crew, and they're all former military. So it's I feel like I know there's at least one of my editors out there that's saying she's giving it away, and I'm like, well, that's what I'm passionate about, though. Like I really got excited about it because this is my opportunity, and I know this is very selfish for me to say this, but I'm like, this is my opportunity for us to see this really amazing story through a viewpoint that I haven't seen it before. It's a whole team of guys, a whole team of, like gristled military guys going through supernatural stuff for the first time. And I'm like, that sounds like an amazing ride to me.
Yeah.
Well, so I'm in it. This is the first book. He's already got 3 written, so we've got a good future ahead of us with that.
Wow, well, that's amazing. And as you're looking to expand, obviously Grendel Press and reach out at any future plans that you can, kind of give us a scoop on Cocktails with Cav or whatever. Any future plans for Grendel Press and how you? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So I guess current and future, we just launched a new website, which I worked extremely hard on because again, we're jack of all trades. We do everything. Yeah. And so it's got the submission portals. It does all the things, but it also has a digital only store. Now I'm saying this for a certain audience who are going to know it when they hear it. The digital only store is it reminds me a little bit of Godless, if any of you are familiar with that in the horror realm, in the fact that you can take your short story, let's say you have a short story, you can't seem to sell it, right? Like it's a great story, but you haven't found the anthology that's themed perfectly to make that story fit. You can come and submit that to the digital only and sell it yourself. You set your own price.
That's cool.
So it's kind of like a mini Amazon, because Amazon's great with full books. Sure, great. If you have a book, you can put out there and try to sell it. This is for other things. If you want to sell a short story, you can. If you want to sell a novella, you can. If you want to sell a full book, the digital, of course, so it's EPUB. You absolutely can. It has a custom e-reader. It's compatible with your phone, so you can either download the EPUB and put it on your Kindle yourself, or you can scroll through and read it right there. It keeps your progress. You can track. I'm sorry I'm bragging, but I've spent
it sounds like you worked hard, and it sounds like a great opportunity for sure.
Yeah. So this was kind of like a phase 1 to what I consider to be the future of Grendel Press. Of course, we're always going to do print books. We're always going to be doing this, but I wanted to open it up because we're trying to elevate our genres. And I didn't really, clearly we can't edit everybody's work. So that's not always going to happen. We're doing everything we can there, spending all the money we can, investing all the money back into it. But I figure we still have a lot of really great authors that we work with, and we want to be able to make sure that people can find their stuff. They can go and they can find, this is their profile. These are all the books that they've published with Grendel Press, and they have stories too, and I can read them right now. That's great. We're trying to make sure that people who like our dark genres can come to our website and stay there.
One stop.
I like
one
it.
stop for good horror. I like that. One stop for good horror. That's brilliant.
Well, exactly. And the great part about being able to sell these stories is you could do it episode. You can do episodes if you want. So if you want to create your own series and do an episode at a time, you absolutely can, because I added series. You can add them all to a series now, and they all populate.
That sounds familiar. Episodes.
Yeah.
Greg often gets freaked out by the fact that we have to write 5,000 words a week. So episodes are a good thing.
Absolutely. And of course, we are still trying to grow a little bit more into the romance area too. A little bit of the dark romance. It's harder because that's a different genre. I do know that a lot of a lot of romance authors they either submit to the big publishers or they self-publish. And I understand why. It's because people, I say this, teasingly, but people are thirsty. So their requirements for editing sometimes are lower because there's, they prefer just to read it than to wait. But we do, I do want to make sure that if for some reason we find romance readers watching your podcast, that they know that we do have value to offer you. Like we do provide editing, we provide the covers, and we don't just provide them, we work with you on the covers. It isn't just here it is.
Everyone knows I'm a romantic guy. So yeah, we probably have a lot of romance genre fans. As long as you don't turn out, and I tell this story just as a quick aside, when you mention romance, as long as you don't turn into the romance novel my grandmother had, I found. It's, as she rolled off the blanket and sighed deeply after making love, she lit up a Virginia Slims 100 menthol, only 2.5 milligrams nicotine.
Yeah, that wouldn't work really well.
Aside.
We're still trying to do our mission statement. So
yes.
Towards our mission statement.
Quick aside advertising in the novel. It's fine. It's fine. Well, heck, I tell you what, I'm just absolutely, again, I'll say it again, I'm thrilled that I got to have you on as a guest, Susan, to talk about Grendel Press and everything going on. And so, Matt, please, let's just go around the table real quick. Finn, please tell everybody about your podcast real quick and where they can find it. And, hawk your work, my friend.
Right, we are everywhere. We're on all 27 platforms, and we spread like disease through the internet, apparently. I got called a cult the other day. I had to make sure they said that properly, but we were a cult podcast, and we've hit episode 200, which means we've been doing this for 4 years. And we have the live video stream of that on YouTube at this very moment, where you can watch me and Greg make fools of ourselves and really enjoy it. So we've had lots of fun in that. I am busy reading Greg's new book, which is very exciting. So what I'll do is I'll hand over to Greg.
Well, hang on. Before you do, give us that website and YouTube channel, buddy. Hawk your work.
It's Werewolf the Podcast. If you search Werewolf the Podcast, we added a bit the serial killer. What was it? The serial killer
drama.
Because it's like, and then we put killer in brackets because it makes it look sort of cool. Yeah. So we did that, and we've been supporting Grendel Press by actually doing product placement with Grendel Press in our episodes, which has been quite exciting. Yeah, quite enjoyed that. But yeah.
I've also enjoyed that.
Yeah, find us anywhere at Werewolf the Podcast. And now I'm shy, so I'll pass over to Greg.
All right, Greg. Yeah, please, by all means, your great work, man. Tell everybody where they can find it and find you, bud.
Well, I've currently got 2 novels and 2 short stories that you can pick up on Amazon. The Bridge and The Trapdoor are 2 short stories, both less than 4,000 words.
Both annoyingly good, which is annoying.
Kind of you to say. And they're both a little bit scary. There's one of them's got a kind of a vampire-y theme, and one of them's got a sort of a ghostly theme. And the 2 novels, Il Lupo and Kill and Cure, you can get those on Amazon. Wherever you are, basically. And Il Lupo was the first one out, January 23. Kill and Cure, which is available in its original rough form, but is currently receiving the polish and will be relaunched soon. And I'm currently working on book 3 in the series, which has a working title.
Bloody good. It's bloody good.
There's a working title, Il Lupo 3. No, I'm kidding. Yeah. There's the working title, Heal Thyself, for reasons that would become clear were you to read it, which I'm sure you will. And I'm currently 59,000 words into that, and about 13 chapters I think I'm in. So I'm targeting a first draft of that by the end of spring. and that'll probably be about 120, 130,000 words, and then I'll start chopping at it. But yeah, I'm really, really enjoying the writing. It's really good.
Oh, amazing. And Susan, by all means, please tell the audience, especially aspiring authors and creators that want to work with a quality partner, by all means, tell them where they can find Grendel Press and
Absolutely.
all that kind of good stuff.
You can find us at www.grendelpress.com. All our social media is basically at Grendel Press. You can't really miss us. Yeah.
No.
Give us some
that
love
makes it easy.
Our TikTok's not active, but give us some love.
That's right. Well, that makes it easy for my overlays. Well, I tell you what, Susan, Greg, Ben, I can't thank you enough.
Thank
for
you,
coming on
Cav.
the Cocktails with Cav show, and by all means, look, everybody, the links to our incredible guests and Grendel Press will be all in the description of the show or in the comments on X, so they don't throttle anything. No, but we just certainly, I said it before and I'll say it again since I've said it so much throughout the show. Thank you guys and gals so much for coming on and sharing the exciting stuff that's going on in the horror and dark drama. And I appreciate y'all coming by. Cheers.
Thank you. We
Thank you.
also have to thank you, Cav, for all you do. You're doing a really good job.
Yeah, man.
Just stepping out there.
The pleasure's all mine.
Should be out there. I've watched a few of your. I haven't watched every one, I'll admit, but I've watched a few of them now, and I think what you're doing, supporting the authors that need supporting, is a wonderful thing. So thank you for doing that.
Well, I certainly appreciate it. And no, it's my pleasure, especially since Grendel Press has pledged me $100,000 advertising deal. So cheers.
all of my editors are like,
and I can't think of a better way to wrap up this show. But no, thank you all again so much, and look forward to seeing some incredible work.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cav.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.